Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines we have for you here. Elon and the new X logo. We're going to talk about it for a second. Brics Coalition, a lot of news there. You need to know about it. Ripple new ODL partners, ladies and gentlemen. Don't sleep on it. It's happening. We're going to give it to you. 5 U.S. crypto bills introduced, and we're going to get the update from Ron Hammond. We need it. Stuart Alderoty, Chief Legal Officer, lays it down, and guess what? So does John Deaton. Will the SEC appeal? We're about to find out. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube for exclusive content. Right now, cryptocurrency market cap is $1.22 trillion. It's off by 0.02% in the last 24 hours. Right now, good morning, everybody. Bitcoin, 29,000 plus. We see Ethereum, 1,800 plus. And we see Tether market cap is 83.7 billion plus. Watching it closely. XRP, 69 cents right now. It's up 1.86 on the 24 hour, but we're off by 11.66 on the 7-day. I say we don't have use case utility. So what are we talking about here? We're early, right? I'm into it. Let's see what we got here. It is linked to, ladies and gentlemen. And why am I showing you this? Because they're amazing sponsor. We love them. I love buying private equity. Yes, you have to be accredited, but if you're not, find out what you need to do to get accredited and join the Digital Perspective Mastermind group to learn more about how we can help you focus on your goals and get to where you're looking to go. There are hundreds of people in there doing the same and helping one another right now. Now, I want to tell you about this because later today, 8 a.m. Pacific time, guess what's getting ready to hit the board here? It's I Trust Capital. Yes, the amazing company that has the best crypto IRAs on the planet is about to launch private equity on Link2's platform. And it's going to go just as quickly as Circle did, I would imagine. So don't mess around and get your money in there and fund that account. Now let's talk about this for a second. Link underneath the video for that. Elon Musk, I love the new X logo. I really do. I love it. I think it's an Art Deco look. I think is what they call that. But nevertheless, I love it. Only thing I'm asking, the only thing that's missing here is, can we make it the Twitter blue? Imagine this X being the Twitter blue. I mean, it's hot. It's smoking. Loving it. Just don't keep it white. Make it blue. Make it blue to pay homage to the Twitter blue. And I think we're moving forward and everything looks fantastic. That's how I'm calling it. That's where I'm seeing it. Elon, help us out. Great job. Then there's the Brics Coalition invites 69 leaders to the August summit, which is August 22nd through the 24th. Western countries omitted, obviously, right? Okay, look, very quickly here. We're watching this because we know that the summit they have said in the August summit, they are going to announce the next steps towards a new reserve currency for the Brics Coalition. Now, this is important to watch because we know there's a lot of other things and factors, new payment systems throughout many different regions, whether we're talking about the EU, whether we're talking about the UK, whether we're talking about Japan, the Asia region, or whether we're talking about the United States with FedNow. Everybody's doing it. This is not mutually exclusive to itself. And again, understanding that 69 leaders have been invited, we also know 44 countries now interested in joining BRICS as a multipolar world takes shape. This is the goal, is to move away from one currency in demand as the global reserve currency, which happens to be the US dollar, right? But taking that weight off of that national currency while still allowing it to survive and thrive. This is a very tricky transition, moving from a debt-based one reserve currency world to a multipolar, multi-asset world. I tell you, this is not something that happens overnight, but there are a lot of signals here that suggest to me we should watch how closely a transition like this could take place in a much shorter time frame than we've seen in history's past. The reason I say that is because technology is playing such a major role in what we're seeing today. And obviously that can shorten a 15-year transition time to a much shorter period. So we need to watch what's happening here. This is no small feat that's taking place. And meanwhile, this is no small feat either. Ripple is now onboarding new ODL on-demand liquidity partners that leverage XRP and the XRP ledger for other use cases beyond remittances. Oh, absolutely. This is about Nutrasource right here. And shout out to Wrath of Common for this one. You got to give that guy a follow. In a disclosure by prominent community member Wrath of Common, the intriguing cases of on-demand liquidity partners has come to light, showcasing how XRP is being used for diverse purposes beyond traditional remittances. Listen to this. Nutrasource, an agriculture company based in Singapore, has made significant strides in sub-Saharan Africa since 2020. Unraveling the mysteries of the Ripple's latest ODL partners and how XRP might be used, Nutrasource was announced as an ODL user in November. Who or what is Nutrasource? A little dive into hints to the dimension of Ripple's business strategy. It goes into this and says here in Uganda, Kenya, Cameroon, and Tanzania, Nutrasource empowers farmers through technology-driven solutions utilizing an agrochemical business and a cutting-edge Farm Santa app. Farm Santa app has become instrumental in Nutrasource's collaboration with Ripple's ODL, providing farmers in real-time access and vital financial inputs and transparent price discovery for their produce. This is important. And look, if we go beyond this, what set Nutrasource apart is its alignment for operations with trade finance. However, the specific use case for XRP remains unclear. Similar trends seen with other recent ODL partners include Oceanus, Valency, and Star Dreams. But we go down here, Ripple sets the stage right here, and that was in November. But if we look at this from November through January, Ripple also announced some new payment partners for ODL. And this is a reminder to the first of this year, right? So Nutrasource, Oceanus, Valency, New Horizons, Star Dreams, and we see new ODL users listed right here as well, all of them. So look, with the ruling being what it is, again, FedNow, Brics Coalition, SIPs, TIPS, RTS, RTP, RTGS. I mean, it's all being rebuilt and launched. All of this is happening. And look, it's no mistake to me that we're starting to see Ripple branch out beyond remittances with ODL use as well. This is building more use cases. That is going to create a deeper liquidity pool, so on and so on. Let's get the update in Congress, because while we're talking about all of these new payment regions and fractional payment zones being created and introduced, what are we seeing? We're seeing a rush now in Congress. This week in Congress and crypto, shout out to Ron Hammond for this. Nearly 5 years after various groups of bipartisan lawmakers got together to work on regulatory framework for crypto, we are now at the cusp of Congress moving various crypto regulatory bills. Here's what's on deck, and it's a lot. We need to know it all. Bill 1 is Clarity for Payment Stablecoins Act 2023, and listen closely to these. This is a big deal. Started with the scrutiny of Libra, spearheaded by Maxine Waters in 2022. The problem it is seeking to solve is the Terra implosion, Tether reserves. You hearing this? Is this on? Tether reserves, FTX, Binance's commingling of customer funds. This is a stablecoins payment act here that could straighten out what's going on here. The lack of clarity with Tether. If it wasn't an issue, why is it being talked about in a bill? The hang-up still remains the role of the state versus federal regulators. On this fight, we see state regulators with stablecoin frameworks like NYDFS versus banks, which has split the Ds, it seems. Interesting note is California is working on their own stablecoin regime. Bill 2, Financial Innovation Technology for the 21st Century Act. This market structure bill is based off several previous bipartisan bills like Token Taxonomy and Securities Clarities Act. It's also unprecedented since it involves two committees. These are rare bills. for this fight is the crypto industry versus the skeptics. It is by no means a giveaway to the crypto industry, as it has bright line rules for where the SEC is involved in the CFTC. It puts new rules for token issuance, VCs, accounting standards, and spot market regulation. Now, what I find interesting about that is it says it puts new rules for token issuance, VCs, accounting standards, and spot market regulation. Well, that token issuance and VCs is a big deal, because as the ruling stands now, ladies and gentlemen, everyone who invested in Ethereum and everyone who invested in that assembly line of tokens off of Ethereum broke the law. According to Judge Torres's ruling. Yeah, early VCs, that's why we're seeing a lot of lawyers push back on the ruling. A common pushback for this bill has been the complexity of legislation. However, this hasn't stopped other G7 nations, the EU in particular, from passing similar rules. There is a distinct undertone regulating crypto will make it be seen as a legitimate asset class. Bill 3 is the Blockchain Regulatory Certainty Act, a bipartisan bill from GOP Majority Whip and Representative Darren Soto that provides safe harbor for validators, software developers, and other service providers from any registry as a money service business. And now here we see Bill 4, Keep Your Coins Act, an effort to protect users' rights to self-custody that has been led by Warren Davidson. Self-custody has come under scrutiny in both Trump and Biden administrations. Self-custody's protections became important in the wake of the collapse of FTX. Financial Technology Protection Act, by the way, we wouldn't have had the FTX collapse if Gary Goldman Gensler had done his job and didn't just hand out a special purpose broker-dealer's license to a dumpster fire of a company. Then there's the Financial Protection Act, right? Technology Protection Act, an effort spearheaded by now Senator Ted Budd, and now being carried by Zach Noon, and it says here, and Jamie Himes, right? I think it's Jay Himes. So it says, bill creates a task force to tackle best ways to deter illicit activity via crypto by organizing relative law enforcement experts. It says the votes this week are just at committee level, meaning these are members of Congress who have spent hours in hearings, briefings, dialogues on these issues. The next steps after these bills pass will be a vote on the House floor where all members will vote on them. Will these bills pass the committees? Yes, Ron Hammond says. The question is, how partisan will it be? So given the split in Congress, R's need D's to give these bills a chance in the Senate. That is a tough in a hyper-partisan climate, which only gets worse as the election year for 24 approaches. This is why Patrick McHenry has been so gung-ho with a record number of crypto hearings this year. The regulators missed many of the frauds in 22, and the enforcement cases they have pursued sometimes conflict with another regulator. The courts have added further confusion. Only Congress can provide the rules for what businesses can or can't do. Many R's and D's have called for regulating the industry, and it has become apparent that the SEC's talking points that securities laws are clear hasn't held up in court nor in practice. The holdouts for supporting these bills range in their arguments. For some, it is substance. Others, it is pure politics. The good news is that the first set of bills 5 years ago started on a bipartisan basis, and it seems they will keep that baseline of support this week. Without clear rules, bad actors will continue to exploit the regulatory gaps to harm consumers, enrich themselves, and we know it's FTX, Binance, Terra, and several others are clear examples of that. The question remains, who will support rules and who will support the status quo? And I'd like to add to that, and who will get Gary Goldman Gensler to resign and get out of office, because FTX would have never happened if he did his damn job. Here's a guy who does his job. Is Chief Legal Officer Stuart Alderoty, saying 30 plus years as a lawyer in crypto is without a doubt the most fascinating industry I've been a part of. Thank you to having me on here to discuss the lawsuit. And we have a quick clip for you to hear of Stuart Alderoty, the chief legal officer, talking about the SEC and the ruling in the case. Take a listen here.
You don't look at the asset itself. You look at the way the asset was sold, and you look at the relationship between the seller and the buyer. And in some cases, that relationship may show that you have a contract that has with it other promises. So you're selling not only the token, but you're selling a collection or a bundle of promises. And it's that collection or bundle of promises that make up the investment contract, not the token itself. And that's the piece I think that is really, really important. And that's the piece that I think really exposes the SEC's theory here, which has no foundation in the law, that a digital asset can in and of itself be a digital asset security. It's not like a traditional share of stock where you buy or sell a traditional share of stock. Let's just say it's Apple. And whoever owns that Apple share of stock, no matter who they bought it from or how they bought it, that Apple share of stock represents rights of the holder against Apple and obligations of Apple to the holder. That is always a security. And in fact, it's defined under the law as a security, stock being one of the things in that definition of what is a security. The SEC has never alleged in any of these cases, because they can't, that digital tokens are stock, because digital tokens don't represent a right, title, or interest in the company that you may buy the token from. They allege that it's an investment contract, which is another category of securities defined under the law. But to find an investment contract, you need to find a contract for an investment. And in certain instances, that may exist. And in other instances, it may not exist. And that is what makes this decision so important and such an affirmation of what a faithful application of the law should look like, and really exposes the SEC's theory as having no foundation in the law.
Right.
You don't think he can say it any better than he did. And the point of all of that is simply this: Ripple will not shy away from the SEC appeal, as appeals court will affirm XRP ruling, says Stuart Alderoty. And that's where we're at here. But look, let's take a look at this very quickly here. This is this is the gentleman from CoinDesk here. Take a listen.
I'm sure some people are going to say that, yes, this is the precedent they're looking at. But given the uncertainty around the appeal, and the fact that, quite a few crypto lawyers are even saying that the appeal itself, the decision itself doesn't really make a lot of sense to them. I think most likely a lot of attorneys, a lot of projects are going to say, okay, we're going to have to continue waiting and seeing, and either A, hope that Congress does something more concrete in that time, or B, see if the SEC itself decides to provide some rulemaking or other forms of guidance that they can point to.
Well, let us consider that a lot of lawyers that don't like Judge Torres's ruling may be some of the same people that were involved in ETH's ICO. And they now realize they're in the SEC line of fire because Judge's Torres doctrine. That's right. Don't be surprised that a lot of people don't like this ruling, because they know their ass is on the line next. Welcome to the show. Will the SEC appeal? Here's our brother in arms right here, John Deaton. Take a listen to what he says about it.
I'm not convinced the SEC is going to appeal. They probably are, but I tweeted out today that it's the hottest debate going on over there, because you're going to have senior staff that say, look, you can just say XRP itself won, but that means nothing to all the other tokens. XRP is a unique story. XRP, was called a digital virtual currency by the Government Accountability Office in 2014. Your token wasn't. XRP traded for 7.5 years. Your token didn't. XRP this, XRP that. And you distinguish it and say, well, that's just XRP, facts and circumstances, facts and circumstances. How many times have you heard Gary Gensler say that in Congress? And just distinguish it. And you don't run the risk of a appellate court in the Second Circuit affirming this judge. So there's going to be some that say don't appeal and just go after all the other tokens, right? And then you're going to have some that say, listen, This decision is going to impact our case against Coinbase, which is in the same district, the Southern District of New York. And yes, it's true that the judge in the Coinbase case can completely disagree with Judge Torres, but we've already read the transcript, and she's saying things similar to what Judge Torres and Judge Netburn said. So remember that Judge Torres cited a fellow Southern District New York judge, Judge Castell, who had the Telegram case, in her decision. And so I'd be surprised if one of these other fellow judges are going to just flat out have this wholehearted disagreement with Judge Torres. So there's going to be people at the SEC that say we have to appeal this decision because of its impact on the Coinbase litigation and other litigation. I don't know which way they're going to go. If I were there, I would be in the camp of don't appeal it. If I worked at the SEC, and just go with your fact and circumstance and try to distinguish XRP on the facts. But there are others who disagree because of the impact it has on the regulation by enforcement. But know this, if the Second Circuit agrees with Judge Torres, then regulation by enforcement on crypto is dead.
And there you have it right there. If they appeal, they're risking everything. Look how important it's been to Goldman Gensler to be able to do the overreach from the SEC chair to try to grab control of this new asset class. If they appeal and they lose, the door is shut. If they choose to say, you know what, let's figure out a way to settle this and go by the facts and circumstances specifically to Ripple and the asset XRP, then we can continue to run around this space and play whack-a-mole until Congress steps in and finally passes legislation that says otherwise. It is going to be hard to know what they'll do, only because the SEC is such an arrogant agency. You can't put anything past them. Not financial advice from me or anyone else, but that's where we are on this day. I'll catch all of you on the next one.